Hey everyone, Alex Terrace here at the Lumanova booth at CryoCon 2025. I'm looking at the most advanced light bed on the market. It's also unique in many other ways also. So I wanted to give you all a close look at it, because of course on the website you can only see things in a certain kind of way, in a certain angle. So first off, I'm going to have this turned on in a second here and put down the hood. So first off, you can kind of see at the end of it over here that it is rounded. Okay, so a lot of beds on the market are kind of a little more open-ended on both ends, a little bit kind of more like a tanning bed. So it's rounded on this one end because we just want to make sure that we get a little bit more exposure, okay, to the feet area and things like that. The shape of it as well is a little complex to explain, but this curve I'm going to show you from the other side. So there's a really kind of like an art to, or really an engineering wonder to basically figure out if diodes are going to be a certain distance from the body. Basically there is some benefit to, especially on the upper portion of one of these things, to figuring out the actual arc or angles that the different strips of diodes is going to be performing on. So basically the absorption on the body happens at multiple angles from diodes. So it was carefully calculated as you move up towards the peak, basically how strong the diodes were going to be, and also the positioning or mounting of the diodes at what angle on the curve of the arc to maximize, as the rays come down, a proper diffusion across the whole body, so there's no like gaps in where the light is not really absorbing well. If diodes are too close, then basically some of those incoherent beams do not really, or there's some gaps, if you will. The diffusion is not as great, and so there's some gaps on the skin where it's not absorbing well. Inside the Lumanova Pro, you can see that there are some fans, a series of them that are quite powerful. These are Dyson kind of based fans that suck the air out extremely efficiently. And you also notice that they're here right next to you. They're not up here, okay, cutting into where really diodes should be. So there are some models out there that basically are going to put the fans. So there's basically a certain factory in China and produces several brands on the market that put all the fans right there and the speakers, which again means that if you put it there, those diodes, especially as we take this lid down, will basically, it'll be a gap in where the light rays are not shining on your body as much. You kind of want to put that kind of stuff right here out of the way, not up there, you know, where you have to compromise and remove diodes. So you'll see that kind of poorer design on some other brands. And for that very same reason, you'll see that the entire underside of this lid here and the underside of that all along, so it's a huge amount of just one continuous sort of series of speakers. So again, the sound is really, really great, probably the best sound system on this thing. But again, we want to put the speakers kind of out of the way, but because it is running all the way along, it also produces kind of a fun surround sound sort of effect. And you can play whatever music, the client can play whatever music they want. This is the touch screen. That's the touch screen that you can access. There's an emergency stop button, of course, here too. And you can control the 5 different wavelengths. You can do manual mode. You can also do the preset programs as well. So you can kind of see the preset programs here. There's actually 63 that make this light bed extremely unique. So your user can simply just come in here, hit one of the selections of what they want, and what do you think it does? It just basically automatically selects the duty cycle, the frequency, pulsation rhythm, wavelength, which wavelengths, and it is all based on the photobiomodulation studies. So there's over 5,000 photobiomodulation studies that are out there, and they all have different variations in the settings and specifications, okay? So this is the only bed on the market that basically has all those different sorts of conditions and goals, health goals, that you may have, or a client may have, or a patient may have. And they can now experience the administration of light according to the best therapeutic outcomes that have been established in photobiomodulation research. So we're now going to turn it on, and the phone has to adjust a little bit. It's super bright. And this is at 100% duty cycle, which means that we are running these diodes at full capacity. A lot of companies won't even tell you usually what the duty cycle is, or they automatically have them fixed at a lower rate because they can't run them as high, usually because they don't have very good power drivers, and there's a lot of other components that basically cannot handle higher power. This can handle 120 millivolts per centimeter squared. I also wanted to point out here another unique feature. You see these cross beams essentially all the way along. These cross beams are going to basically be areas with the plexiglass where we're reinforcing the surface. And so this bed can actually handle several hundred pounds. So any individuals that are just on the heavier side, or just over time, you aren't going to have any creaking when you get into this, which is common with a lot of other ones. There's going to be no bending. This is basically designed for heavy usage, literally if an individual is heavier, or just people are constantly getting in and out of this thing. This is literally the most durable. The other thing I just want to point out is that you'll notice just how large across the actual treatment area is. This actually has the largest square inch treatment area of any bed on the market. So more of the body can be exposed, and or again, if it's a larger individual, more of their body can be exposed. You're getting about 47,000 diodes in this one. Has more diodes than anything else in the market. And the 5 wavelengths, most beds have a lot less than that, but this does have 630, 660. 660 is not as common to come across, by the way. You have 810, you have 850, and 940. And again, of course, all those will vary based on the treatment protocol that's selected. And the other thing to say is that the 810, which is a more expensive diode, a lot of companies get away with having a lot less 810. So this is a nice even distribution across several wavelengths. Some companies kind of cheap out and basically go with a lot less of the 810. It's just something else to be aware of. So let's put this hood back here. Now, as you can see, I can actually lift this up with one finger quite easily. That's because this entire upper canopy cover is actually has several strong springs behind it that are somewhere in here underneath there. But I bring up the point of being able to lift this canopy with one finger because there's a lot of older individuals, people that sometimes have trouble getting out of these things. And when you're not attending to them in a room, you want to make sure that they can just take a couple fingers and easily lift this thing. So it's, even though this is a very big upper canopy, the largest, it's very easy to lift up. And again, that is just a common thing you see out there with other bed brands. It's hard sometimes to get in and out of them and lift up that upper portion. So if you're running a business, that's just something obviously that's more important to consider. On the back side, I just wanted to show you that there are additional fans. This actually really has not just some of the best fans out there, but has a lot more fans than any other light bed on the market. So by the time you factor in these and the ones on the side, this is actually the most comfortable yet most powerful light bed that you can actually be in. So again, you're getting more power on the body than anything else, but it's also the most comfortable and cool. And then you can see in the background here, might as well put on film, that's actually Dr. Paul Baratiero, and he is the founder of Lumanova, and of course, most famous for Echo Technologies, and Echo Water, which is the largest water and hydrogen company on the planet. So he's actually some of the brains behind the business. And looks like we still got a few minutes on here. So I don't know if I mentioned, but besides the preset programs, you can actually do manual mode on this and change any of the specifications anytime you want. And I just even want to show you how I can just click that button right there, and I just shut off 940. I just shut off one of the near infrared wavelengths. So there's a lot of really awesome stuff you can do with this thing. But yeah, it can go up to the pulsation 10,000 hertz, and I just want to mention that last thing, because as you're doing manual mode and playing around with things, if you want to, if you ever see a photobiomodulation study, which is using some particular protocols, that are not maybe for some reason inside of the pre-programs, you can play around and experiment and basically set this up to mimic what you found in that research study or maybe another practitioner, and basically set it up so it produces the same specifications and settings that were used. So manual mode is cool. It's cool to have. Or you may find somebody that has a particular preference for something, and they can play around with it. Maybe they're more comfortable by turning off some of the intensity or whatever they want to do. If you have any questions about this particular model, or if you want to see and learn more about the LumaPod, which is their other model, which is roughly about half the price, you can reach out to me. Last thing I do want to share is the LumaPod is another one of the bed brands that also features a specific UV wavelength that will run for a few minutes and help a person produce all the vitamin D synthesis they need in a day. It just only runs a couple minutes, and then they can continue to get near infrared and red. So that's pretty cool. That'll explain that in another video. And if y'all have any questions, you know what to do. You can always leave them below in the comments or email me directly, which is really the best way to ask me questions. I respond quickly. And also, if you want any special discounts on this particular type of equipment, I do have access to that, and you just simply have to reach out.